Come here a minute, friend. I want to show you something before we start. Look at these plants. Look at how much fruit is hanging on them. This is the heaviest set I have ever grown and the healthiest, and I will tell you plain they are going to keep right on giving. Early, often, and clear up until the frost lays them down. That is no accident. It is a handful of old tricks, the plain way my people have grown the tomato for 100 years, and I am going to walk you through every one of them, right here in the patch. Now I do not say that to boast. The good Lord built the plant to do this work. All we do is get out of its way and point its strength where we want it to go. And once you understand how the plant wants to grow, you can bend it a little. You can ask it for more. That is what I mean by manipulating your tomatoes, not forcing them, not feeding them anything out of a jug, just guiding the plant by hand the way it was always done. And I will tell you now, one of these tricks most folks do exactly backwards. They cut off the very thing that would have given them another armload of fruit. I will show you that one a little ways in, so stay with me. And the best feed of all, the one that makes the fruit come on heavy, is sitting in your wood stove this very minute, and it costs you nothing. Keep that in your mind. We will get there. Come and walk with me. Look at these sets along here. Look at the fruit clustered up the stem, one truss after another, all the way to the top. Peek back in there, see the big ones, heavy as a fist. That is what we are after. None of it bought from a store, none of it out of a bottle. Just the plant, the soil, the sun, and the rain the good Lord sends, and a pair of hands that knows what to do with them. So let me show you how it is done, one trick at a time, plainest to cleverest. Take them in order, do them faithful, and you will stand in your own patch come fall looking at more tomatoes than you know what to do with. That is a promise, and it is an old one. The first thing, and I believe the most important thing, is the pruning. Now a lot of good folks never prune a tomato at all. They let it grow into a great wild bush, and the plant puts all its strength into leaf, 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 and precious little into fruit. We do it different. We grow ours up a single stem. You come down here to the bottom and you can trace it, one stem, straight up like a young tree. And here is why that one change matters more than anything else you will do all season. When you prune your tomato down to a single stem, it can give you ripe fruit as much as 2 weeks earlier than a plant left to run wild. 2 weeks. Think on what that is worth, fresh tomatoes on your table half a month before your neighbors. Here is the reason it works. A plant left wild is feeding 100 mouths. Every sucker, every branch, every leaf is pulling on it. When you take that excess off and leave it the one main stem, all that strength has nowhere to go but into the fruit and into ripening that fruit. You are not starving the plant. You are aiming it. Same water, same sun, same soil, but now it is all pointed at the harvest instead of spent on a mess of leaves you will never eat. Now come down low here with me. You see how I have stripped the leaves off the bottom foot or so of the stem. There is a reason for that too. Those low leaves sit in the still, damp air right above the ground, and that is where the sickness starts. Strip them away and the air moves freely under the plant. Better air, less disease. And a plant that does not fall sick is a plant that keeps bearing late into the fall, long after the troubled ones have given up. So you see, that one cut at the bottom buys you both earlier fruit and later fruit off the same plant. Now look here in the crotch, where the leaf branches off the main stem. See that little shoot coming up in the joint? That is what we call a sucker. Leave it be, and it will grow out into a whole second plant, every bit as hungry as the first. On most of your stems, you want to pinch those out while they are small. Just snap them off with your thumb so the plant stays the single stem. I will say this, if you garden down in a hot country where the sun is fierce enough to scald the fruit, you might leave a sucker or two in the middle for a bit of shade over the tomatoes. But for most of us, getting good light onto the fruit is what we want. Light ripens, so we keep it open. Now do not go after the whole plant in one afternoon. A tomato grows fast in the warm of the year, faster than you would think. So I walk the row every few days with my shears, take the new suckers while they are small and soft, tie up the new growth, and pull any leaf gone bad. A few minutes every few days and the plant never gets ahead of you. Let it go a whole week or two in high summer and you will come back to a wild thing you can hardly sort out. The little and often is the whole secret of it. Tend it like you would the milk cow, a bit each day, faithful, and it rewards you faithful right back. Now the next thing is small, but it is the difference between a healthy patch and a sick one, and almost nobody does it. Every time I make a cut, I clean my blade. When I move from one plant to the next, I clean it again. Disease travels on the blade, friend. You can carry a sickness from a poorly plant to a healthy one on the edge of your shears and never know it till the whole row is down. So I keep a little jar of plain vinegar right here in my apron, and I dip the blade before every cut. Some folks pass the blade through a flame instead. That works just as well. Either way, it costs next to nothing and it saves the whole patch. And here's a thing I have noticed. When you make a clean cut with a clean blade, the wound heals over fast and tight. Come look at this one I cut a couple weeks back. See how it has sealed right over, smooth, no rot crept in. That is what a clean blade gives you. Now here is that trick I told you most folks do backwards. Stay with me on this one. I told you we pinch our suckers off, and we do, most of them. But this year I am letting a few of them grow on purpose, and it is putting more fruit on my plants than ever. Here is how. I let the sucker run out a little, and I wait. I do not pinch it. I wait until it sets its flowers, until I can see it is about to make fruit. Then, and only then, I cut it back, right above where it is flowering. You see what I have done? I let it grow just long enough to give me one more cluster of tomatoes, and then I stop it before it can turn into a whole second plant and rob the main stem. Most folks pinch every sucker the day they see it, and they throw away free fruit doing it. The trick is to let it earn its keep first. Come over here and I will show you one further along. You see this? This was a sucker right here. I let it run. It flowered. I cut it off just above the bloom, and now look. A whole set of tomatoes hanging right there that I would never have had. And when new little suckers try to come on this branch, I rub those off, so all the strength goes to the fruit it already set. That is the plant working for me instead of against me. Once you understand how a thing works, you can break the rule a little and let it pay you. But you have to know the rule first. Now let me give you the next way to guarantee yourself early fruit, and it is one a lot of gardeners never think about. It is the variety you choose. The kind of tomato you put in the ground in spring decides a great deal before you ever pick up the shears. Some tomatoes are bred to come on early, little cherry kinds, mostly, sweet as candy, and they will be ripe and red while the big beefsteaks are still green and hard. Grow at least one of those, and you will be eating tomatoes weeks ahead. Then, to carry your harvest the other direction, deep into the fall, you want a kind known to bear long and late, the sort of plant that just will not quit, that keeps setting fruit when the others have called it a season. Grow one of those too, and your table is never empty. Now I am partial to the old open-pollinated kinds, the heirlooms, because you can save your own seed from them year after year and never buy again. That is the thrift of it, and that is our way. But I will tell you plain, grow what does well on your own ground. Some kinds love your soil and your weather, and some never will, no matter what you do. If your tomatoes come in poor, sometimes it is not your fault at all. Sometimes it is only that you planted a kind that was never meant for your corner of the world. So keep the ones that bear heavy for you, save their seed, and let the rest go. A few good years of watching and you will have your own family of tomatoes suited to your own patch. And do not put all your faith in one kind, friend. Grow several. I always keep a small sweet cherry for the early eating and the children, a good paste tomato, meaty and dry inside, for the sauce and the canning jars, and a big slicing tomato for the table and the sandwich. Each one has its season and its use. Spread them out like that, and something is always coming ripe from the first warm week clear to the frost. The garden that grows but one kind eats well for a month. The garden that grows 3 or 4 eats well for half the year. Walk along here and look. Look at the fruit on this one and peek back in there. Every kind a little different, a little color, a little shape, all of them bearing. Through the years I have weeded out the ones that sulk in my soil and kept the ones that thrive. And now there is hardly a plant in this patch that is not loaded. That is not luck. That is just watching, year after year and keeping the faithful ones. And one more word here, these tricks I am sharing are for the tall, climbing kind of tomato, the ones that keep growing and bearing all season. There is another kind that grows low and bushy and gives all its fruit in one big flush and then it is done. Those you do not prune the same way. You let those sprawl. But the tall, all-season kind, that is where every one of these tricks pays off. Now this next one is the simplest thing in the world, and it is the secret to a plant that bears late. When you see a leaf going bad, spotted, yellow, sickly, you take it off. That same day. Do not wait. Come look down in here. See these lower leaves with the spots starting. I clean my blade and I take them right off. Gone. Because that spot is a sickness, and a sickness spreads up the plant and then to the next plant and the next, until the whole row is poorly and your season is over early. Cut the sick leaf away and you stop it before it travels. And it does a second thing, same as the pruning did. Every leaf you take out opens the plant up to more air and more sun. And I will tell you what sun and moving air are. They are the enemies of every sickness a tomato gets. Damp and stillness breed the rot, sun and a good breeze burn it off. So every sick leaf you pull is doing two jobs at once, stopping the spread and opening the plant up so the spread cannot start again. A clean, open, healthy plant is a plant that keeps right on bearing into the fall. The sick ones quit first, every time. Now let me bring you over here and show you something that does more good than its share, and it goes right on the ground. Mulch. You see, I have a good thick blanket of it down around every plant, straw, old leaves, wood chips, whatever the good Lord and the woodlot provide. Lay it down thick. And here is everything that one simple thing does for you. First, it holds the moisture in the soil. Pull a bit of it back here, feel how cool and damp the ground is underneath, even on a hot day. That even, steady moisture is worth more than you know. Second, it keeps the soil cool through the heat. And roots in cool, steady soil are happy roots, and happy roots ripen fruit sooner and bear it longer. Third, it keeps the weeds down. The few that do poke through pull right out of soft, mulched ground with 2 fingers. But here is the one that saves so many gardeners, especially new ones. You have maybe seen it. The bottom of the tomato goes black and sunken and rotten, even while the top looks fine. They call that blossom end rot, and folks blame the soil. But most times the real trouble is uneven watering. The plant gets bone dry, then drowned, then dry again, and it cannot take up what it needs to build a sound fruit. Lay a thick mulch down and the soil stays evenly moist, day in and day out, no drought, no flood, and that rot mostly disappears on its own. So the mulch is doing 4 jobs from the 1 armload. Moisture, cool roots, no weeds, and sound fruit. That is the kind of thrift I like, one simple thing. Paid 4 times over. Now here is the feed I promised you back at the start, the one already sitting in your wood stove this very minute. Wood ash. When a tomato plant is loaded down with fruit like these are, it is working hard and it is hungry. If you do not feed it, it will struggle to ripen everything it has set. So when the plant comes into heavy fruiting, we top dress it, we give it a feeding right around the base. Now you have to feed it the right thing, and this is where folks go wrong. Down in the bottom of your wood stove in the ashes is potash, what the plant calls potassium, and potash is the very thing that ripens fruit and pushes the plant to set more. It costs you nothing. It would have gone in the bin. Instead it goes to your tomatoes. So I pull the mulch back and look, see how dark and damp and alive that soil is under there. I scatter a handful of wood ash around the plant, not heaped against the stem, just spread around the root zone. Go easy, a handful or 2 around a plant is plenty, for ash is strong and a little goes a long way. A bit of good aged compost or old manure worked in with it, and that plant has everything it needs to carry its whole load to ripe. That is the whole feed, and it never cost you a cent. The ash was bound for the bin, the compost was your kitchen scraps and your garden trimmings rotted down, the manure was the barn cleaning. Nothing wasted, everything turned back into fruit. That is the old way, friend, and there is no better way I have ever found. And here is the warning. Do not feed it anything heavy in nitrogen now, none of that rich green stuff that pushes leaf. Feed a fruiting plant a lot of nitrogen and it forgets all about the fruit and goes right back to making leaves, soft and green and useless to you. We do not want leaves now. We want tomatoes. So at fruiting time it is potash and old compost, gentle and steady, and nothing that drives it back to leaf. I work it into the top inch or two of soil, real shallow, mind the roots, and then I water it in good. And that brings me to the very last thing, and it matters more than folks think. When you water, water at the base, down at the roots where it belongs. Do not stand there and sprinkle the whole plant from overhead and wet all the leaves. I know the rain wets them, that cannot be helped, that is the Lord's business. But what you do with the can is your business. A wet leaf is a sick leaf waiting to happen. The damp is what the rot wants. So water the ground, not the plant, and keep those leaves as dry as you can. Less damp, less disease. And you know by now what less disease buys you, a plant that bears long past the ones that fell sick. It all comes back around to the same thing. Now lay your mulch back over the top, tuck it back in around the plant, and you are done. Moisture held, weeds down, fruit fed, and the whole thing sealed up to keep on giving. Now before I let you go, I want to show you one last thing because I do not want you thinking you need a great long row and a big trellis to do any of this. You do not. Come over here. This is one tomato growing in a single pot up one stem, tied to a string, and that string is run up to the branch of an old tree. That is all. One stem, one string, something tall to tie it to. You see how I tie it soft, loose loops up the string, never cutting into the stem, just guiding it up as it climbs. And as the suckers come, I pinch most of them, and now and again I let one flower and top it. Same trick I showed you. I gave this one a handful of ash and a bit of compost when it came into fruit, and I keep a little mulch on the top of the pot to hold the wet. And there it is, climbing an old tree, hanging with fruit. Anybody can do that. On a porch, on a balcony, in a little corner by the back step, wherever you have a spot of sun and something to tie to. You do not need much. You need the plant and you need to know its ways, and now you do. So there it is, friend, every trick the plain way. Prune it to a single stem. Keep a clean blade. Let a sucker or two flower before you stop it. Choose your kinds wise and save your seed. Pull the sick leaves the day you see them. Mulch it thick. Feed it ash and compost when it fruits and water it low. Do those things and your plants will give you tomatoes early. Give them often and keep right on giving till the frost. I have done it every year, and the good Lord willing, so will you. Now, all this fruit you have been looking at, it does not do to let it sit. The next thing is to bring it in and put it up for winter, the old way, in jars on the cellar shelf. That is the very next thing I want to show you, how we harvest it all and put up the tomatoes so your family eats from this garden in the dead of January. Come back for that one and I will walk you through it, step by step, same as today. Until then, keep growing, neighbor. We will see you back in the patch.